Welcome to First Time Watching. Some people go through life on easy mode, but when your nickname is literally the Ugly Stepsister, you're just born unlucky. This new body horror experience reimagines the age-old Cinderella story. The earliest recorded version dates back to ancient Greece, but the most well-known adaptation was written in 1812 by, of course, the Brothers Grimm. In this new Norwegian film, we follow Elvira, living in a time when beauty meant power. After the family loses all their money, they look to Elvira to seduce the prince. But since her stepsister Agnes is, insanely hot, Elvira must endure immense suffering so that she can snag Mr. Moneybags. Now, without further ado, please like and subscribe as we dive straight into the explanation. Elvira is daydreaming about her Prince Charming, how he would fall in love with her and kiss her shriveled up, dry-ass lips. That's when her mom wakes her. They're being taken to Otto's castle, where Elvira's mom, Rebecca, is about to marry the man himself. Elvira is an ugly little duckling with her braces and pig-like features. She looks at Otto's daughter Agnes in awe because that girl is fine as hell. Her little sister, Alma, is confused about why Elvira is so excited. But hey, it's their mom's big day. They get married, and after Agnes gives Elvira the grand tour, they run into Isac, the stable boy. But the thing that impresses Elvira the most is what she sees in the distance. His castle, the love of her life, Prince Julian. That night, they celebrate with cake. Otto takes a big piece and acts like he's about to throw it in Rebecca's face as some sort of tradition over which people should instantly file for divorce, in my opinion. But then he throws it in Elvira's face instead. Since no one knows how to react to such a strange and rude gesture, Elvira laughs it off, while her mom sits in complete shock. But then the old fart just straight up dies. I was hoping the rude bastard would choke on his own spit, but it looks more like a heart attack or something along those lines. The following morning, some shady people in black show up right as Elvira is about to bring a plate of food to Agnes, who's still a blubbering mess. Agnes asks her to leave, but Elvira doesn't take the hint. She tells Agnes that after her dad died, her mom was a sad sack of tears too, but it passed. Agnes is pissed. She's clearly grieving, and this little piglet is just moving into her home while her dad isn't even buried yet. She tells her that if it wasn't for the money, her father would never have let people like them into his life. Elvira doesn't understand. What money? Agnes tells her. Your mother's money, of course. Elvira runs out of the room to tell her mom. Not only are they broke, Otto had mountains of debt, but it's too late. The shady guys in black are debt collectors, and they're already confiscating everything. All they have left are a few coins. After they leave, her mom faints. She can't believe what just happened. Elvira tries to cheer her up, but her mom hits her with a dose of reality. Does she really think it's easy for a woman like her to find a rich man to marry? A widow with saggy tits and two ugly-ass daughters? Elvira tells her she can get married. So her mom asks, to who? The prince? Look in a mirror, darling. That ain't happening. And her sister, little Alma, hasn't even started bleeding yet, so she's not up for auction. After her mom's reality check, Elvira is moping and eating in her bed when a horse arrives. Someone blows a horn to alert the people and shouts that there is a message from the castle. Elvira runs outside, where Agnes is already speaking to the rider. He has an announcement to make. His Royal Highness, Prince Julian, hereby invites all noble virgins to a ball at the castle, where he will pick the hottest one out of a group of aroused girls. The ball will take place 4 full moons from the next. The rider writes down their names so they know who will be attending. With new hopes for quick cash on the horizon, her mom takes Elvira to Dr. Aesthetique to remove her braces and fix that abomination of a potato in the middle of her face. Since they don't have money, the mom promises the doctor double after the ball. She has high hopes for her little duckling. While the doctor removes the braces, her mom picks out a new nose. Alma isn't feeling so well, probably because they're casually watching the doctor operate on her unsedated sister. But hey, her teeth look great, so let's move on to the nose. Her mom picks number 7. The nurse hands the doctor his hammer and pick, and while Elvira is still completely unsedated, he breaks her nose bone to reform that potato into a beautiful work of art. As Elvira screams, the doctor shushes her because he can't work like that. Next on the list, in Elvira's journey to date a rich prince, she joins a finishing school where she'll learn everything about etiquette from her teacher, Miss Sofie. They will also be the school that gets to open Prince Julian's ball with a dance performance performance. There will be a lead and 2 supporting roles, personally picked by her and their dance teacher, Ms. Vanya. And these 3 will be given an unfair advantage, since they'll be in the spotlight. They'll get the chance to impress not only the prince, but also the many counts, barons, and rich merchants who are attending the ball. Let's quickly circle back to the elephant in the room. Elvira is wearing a metal snout to keep her nose in place. She looks absolutely ridiculous, so let's hope the surgery turns out okay. During dance class, Ms. Vanya is teaching the girls the steps, but she gets annoyed with Elvira's face, so she sends her all the way to the back of the class, where she has to stand with the other Uggos. That night during dinner, Agnes asks Rebecca when she was planning to hold her father's funeral, but she's of the opinion that the old man can rot a little longer. At least she's not planning to spend a single penny on little stuff like that right now. Agnes storms off and goes to check on her dad's fly-riddled body. He's decomposing as we speak, and after that, we jump into a montage of Miss Sofie teaching the girls etiquette. But after the montage, it's finally time. The list of girls hand-picked to dance for the prince has been chosen, and by luck, Elvira just made it. She might not be part of the solo, but she did get picked for the big number. But during their next solo lesson, Miss Vanya is on the hunt for the girl who has what it takes to be the star. Elvira raises her hand because she believes in herself, and she actually nails the dance. So Miss Vanya tells her that it's sad. So much wasted potential on such an ugly thing. If her mother hadn't paid her personally to let Elvira join the lessons, she wouldn't even be there right now. She tells her to work harder because she's got a bad case of the turkey neck. Then she calls Agnes forward because, of course, she's her #1 choice. That night, after they try to fit Elvira into one of Agnes's dresses to save some money, her insecurity is at an all-time high. She takes off the dress and looks at herself naked. There's absolutely nothing wrong with her body, but the societal pressure is screaming that she's fat. When she's upset, she eats, so she munches down on some more pastries. The next day, Miss Sofie invites Elvira in for a private one-on-one lesson. She tells Elvira she has a lot of potential. She sees a lot of herself in her. Elvira doesn't buy it. Sofie is very beautiful, and she's just ugly and fat. But Miss Sofie lets her intrusive thoughts run point because she just has to know what Elvira's new sniffer looks like. So she takes off her metal snout. It's still very bruised, but it's a lot smaller. Sofie loves the result. She tells her she's changing on the outside, but the inside isn't feeling it yet. She has a little present for Elvira. It's a locket, and while she gives it, she tells her what's inside is what counts. Back at the castle, Agnes comes home with her horse and finds Isac working in the stables. He helps her off her horse, and they passionately kiss. She tells him she has to marry the prince, but that she'll never love him like she loves Isac. Later, Elvira goes into the forest with her sister Alma. They needed some time away from home. Elvira tells her sister that she wants to show her something, and she pulls out Sofie's locket. In it is a tapeworm egg. She's planning to swallow it, because then she can eat as much as she wants and still lose weight. And once she becomes thin and beautiful and marries the prince, she'll just take the antidote and poof, the worm is gone, right? Alma becomes furious. How can her sister be so unbelievably stupid? She takes both horses and leaves Elvira alone in the forest. So now that she's alone, she swallows the egg, and then a bird comes crashing down next to her. She hears people closing in, they're hunting. Elvira spots 2 douchebags, but then she sees it, the most beautiful, lightly hairy ass she's ever seen. The prince is taking a piss. She slips, so the prince is now looking at her. The other guys shout at her, calling her metal snout, and they taunt the prince, telling him to take her right there. His cock is already out anyway, but the prince looks Elvira right in the eyes and says, "That thing? I don't want to fuck that." Elvira runs off in shame, but keeps looking at them from a distance. Even if he looked at her with that much disgust, she still has wet dreams of him. That night, Elvira gets back home because she had to walk the entire way when she hears noises coming from the stable. She sneaks in, and she finds Isac slinging that meat, slamming his stable boy manhood right up in Agnes. Our pretty, young, perfect virgin is soiled, and after Elvira tells her mom her reputation is ruined, Rebecca makes sure that the little slut never gets to see her stallion again. 3 full moons later, it is finally time. Elvira's nose is fully healed, and it's glorious. Her potato transformed into a small, pointy sniffer. Agnes's life has changed a lot too. She's working around the house doing chores, and the family started calling her Cinderella, all because her worth has plummeted now that she's no longer a virgin. But Elvira, on the other hand, is still not ready for the prince. She's back in Dr. Aesthetique's chair. This time, she gets eyelash extensions. For this one, he does have some form of sedation. He rubs some cocaine inside her eyelids and then snorts the rest, which means that he's ready to start the operation. He sews the extensions into her eyelids, which, if you're squeamish about eye stuff, might just be your worst nightmare. The night after the operation, Elvira is in bed. She's wearing a blindfold and her worm is hungry. Blinded, she walks the castle's halls to find something to eat, but she can't find anything. Agnes finds her stumbling about and decides to feed the sad little abomination. The nasty weather outside wakes up Alma, and she finds out she started bleeding, so she quickly gets rid of the evidence before her mother finds out and wants to use her for money too. After this whole Agnes is a whore situation, Miss Vanya is down bad, because now she has to replace her, and she was irreplaceable. But Sofie knows exactly who she believes could take Agnes's place, and points her towards her little project. Vanya finally notices that Elvira's turkey gobbler has disappeared, so she gets promoted to the main dancers. At night, Cinderella is bathing Elvira and feeding her when Elvira asks her to brush her hair. But Cinderella tells her she won't need that anymore because all her hair is falling out. It's a common thing with people infected with a tapeworm. Because of the worm, you become malnourished, which means your body doesn't absorb enough iron, and that causes hair loss. A carriage arrives, and a group of men walk into her room just as her mom fully undresses Elvira. It's creepy dress guy. He calls himself the Good Fairy. He's made a beautiful dress for her to wear to the ball. They ask Cinderella to help her into it, and the sleazeball immediately notices how beautiful this little maid girl actually is. Since she holds no value, he helps himself. He grabs her face, so she spits in his mouth. He grabs her again and kisses her. She pulls away and spits on the floor. The man has to go back to work, so he grabs Elvira and makes sure her breasts are correctly situated. But then he also notices her hair falling out. Her mom freaks out. Her daughter is going bald, but creepy dress guy has a solution. He brought a blonde wig that fits like a glove, but for the head. Rebecca and the creep look at Elvira, and the man says that tomorrow she'll make them rich. But first, he tells Rebecca to follow him to her bedroom for his down payment. That night, Elvira is hungry again, and she can hear the entire dress squad running a train on her mom. She runs into Agnes, who is stealing a dress because she still wants to go to the ball. But Elvira, in a rage, rips up Agnes's dress. Rebecca overhears them fighting, and as Agnes runs off, she calms her daughter down by telling her not to worry, and that she can't go because she has nothing to wear. The mom puts her back to bed and gives her something to sleep. Looks like some potent opioids, because she goes right to dreamland. Agnes, on the other hand, falls asleep on her dad's maggot-riddled corpse while holding her ripped dress. Her dead mom appears to her in a dream and shows her that the maggots have transformed into larvae that are fixing up the dress for her. She also gives her new shoes and a carriage that will turn back into a pumpkin at midnight. The day of the ball, Elvira is finally ready to seduce the crap out of her Prince Charming, but her excitement is quickly overshadowed by the rumbling of her stomach. The women are introduced to the prince and his guests one by one. The girls walk around gallantly, while their moms follow behind them like they're holding them up. The announcer guy rambles on about their hobbies. Finally, it's Elvira's turn to be introduced, and the men are very impressed. She makes herself look very subservient, and her bosom looks mighty perky. She even manages to give the prince a throbbing boner. Now that they've been introduced, it's time for her dancing solo. Her stomach is rumbling, but she does her best to ignore it. Her bosom is what got the prince's attention, but her dance is what gets his heart. The prince falls for her head over heels. The men are lining up to get a chance to dance with her, but Elvira only has eyes for one. And on that note, it's time for Prince Julian to pick the one girl he would love to do his opening dance with. He walks around the room to check out the other girls, and while he does that, Elvira's stomach rumbles out of control, but he walks right up to her and asks her to do him the honor of dancing with him. She does her best to focus during the dance, and he even calls her beautiful. But then the music stops. A new girl enters the ballroom, and she is stunning. The girl is wearing a cloth over her face, so we definitely don't know who that is. The prince immediately loses interest in Elvira and walks over to the girl, asking her to dance. Elvira's stomach is done. She has to puke, like right now. She runs out of the ballroom and into an empty room where she vomits black. A handful of tapeworm eggs spills from her stomach onto the floor. Her mother comes running after her. Elvira tells her she might be dying, but her mom is having none of it. She tells her to stop crying and pull herself together. There are still plenty of rich guys out there who will want to marry her. Elvira doesn't stop, so mommy slaps some sense into her. So while Elvira is still very sick and annoyed with the fact that this random bitch is dancing with her prince, she is now dancing around with every remotely rich guy available, and as the clock hits 12, she locks eyes with Agnes. But Agnes does not have time for this. She runs off, and the prince follows her. When he returns, he has found one of her shoes, and he announces to everyone that he will marry the girl who fits that shoe. Agnes must have the smallest feet in all the land. If there's not a single other girl it might fit. But in the original story, it was a glass slipper, so in that case, the shoe would have been made for the exact foot, and then it makes a lot more sense that it only fits one person. As Elvira is riding home in her carriage, she is screaming in anger. She arrives home and finds a pumpkin on the floor. She finds Agnes feeding a mouse some cheese next to the fireplace, so she grabs a cleaver and comes at her, demanding she hand over the shoe. Agnes escapes her grasp and runs up the stairs, but she trips and drops the shoe just as Elvira is about to make little chunks out of her stepsister. Her mom opens her bedroom door. She's giggling. There's a guy in her room with her, playing some sexy games with the parts hiding behind the door. She tells Elvira to go to bed. Elvira tries to tell her it was Agnes, but her mom is having none of it. She's already wet and wants to get jiggy. She tells Elvira that she had her chance, and she blew it. The guy leaves the room. It's one of the rich, much younger sons of a fish merchant she just fished out of the pond of eligible bachelors. Meanwhile, in her room, Elvira is looking at her feet while wearing Agnes's shoe. Her feet are way too big. She looks at the cleaver and starts measuring the shoe against her foot. She slices a chopping line and gets ready. Then she attempts to chop off her toes. They keep hanging on. Her screams blast through the castle, and her sister, mom, and the rich fish guy come running over. Elvira begs her mom to help her. She has to get the shoe to fit. Her mom gives her a spoonful of the horse tranquilizer and tells her to stay calm because this will help. Alma asks her mom what they should do. Her mom looks at Elvira's feet and tells Alma she cut the wrong foot because the prince has the left shoe. Alma wants no part in this madness and leaves the room. Then the mom looks at Elvira's foot, grabs the cleaver, and finishes the job on the right foot, and then does the left one as well. While on an opioid high, Elvira dreams of the prince coming and putting the shoe on her foot. They kiss, but it couldn't be further from reality. Elvira wakes up, hungry and in pain. To the sound of blaring horns, the prince is coming to see who fits the shoe. Elvira crawls out of bed and drops herself down the stairs. She actually looks a lot like Golem at this point. At the bottom of the stairs, Agnes is standing there, looking at her in pity, but she walks outside to meet her future husband. The shoe fits. He's found his princess. Elvira can't help but cry. Her dreams are now completely shattered. Alma finds her passed out on the floor and tells her they are leaving right now. She asks Elvira for the tapeworm antidote and helps her take it. The antidote makes Elvira throw up. The more she throws up, the more the worm crawls up her throat until the tip of it starts coming out of her mouth. Alma grabs the worm and starts pulling it out. It's enormous, and the more it comes out, the fatter it gets. Large chunks of worm fall out of Elvira's mouth until it's finally out, and then Alma cuts the worm to kill it. She steals some of their mother's jewelry while the mom is sucking fish guy's meat, and then helps her sister out of the castle. They get on their horse and ride off together while crows eat the tapeworm. With this, Alma saves her sister from their mother's greed, and also saves herself, since she started bleeding, which would mean her mother could marry her off too. After the credits, we see a small snippet of Otto. The poor bastard is still not buried. They just let him rot until he is a skeleton. And that's where the movie ends. I hoped they would have followed the same ending as the Brothers Grimm story, because in the original, the sisters stay behind, and Agnes commands doves to peck their eyes out so they would be stuck in a life of abuse under their stepsister Cinderella. That would have been an even darker ending to an already dark movie, but that is also my only point of critique. The movie scores 95% on Rotten Tomatoes, and that is well deserved. Lately, I've been watching a lot of horrified Disney movies within the Twisted Childhood universe, and while they are fun, movies like this, where they use the original, very dark Brothers Grimm stories as source material, actually work a lot better. From the acting to the eerie music, and all the way to the grotesque body horror, The Ugly Stepsister is, in my eyes, a masterpiece.